Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. We don't really have a lot of participants, but it's okay. This is actually an unplanned live session. The reason why I made a decision to record this session and have this session today is that I had a multi virtual event yesterday with approximately 6 universities. And at 8 o'clock in the evening, uh, I received a question about presentation from one of the students. So I'm thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just do a 30-minute live session. So the topic for today is speak without fear and how to stay confident, relax, and in control while presenting. So, before we begin, just a quick note, this is a relaxed and safe space. Participation is completely optional. You're welcome to keep your camera off and you can join using any name you're comfortable with. We're not tracking any attendance, and the session is not recorded. However, I am being recorded, like I mentioned earlier, as this session will be used as a resource for anyone that needs it. So just be here, listen, and take what's valuable to you. So now I want to start by sharing. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Maribel. I am the founder of Government Workforce Network LLC. So now I want to start by sharing why I'm giving this talk. So, like I mentioned earlier, after the multi-university event yesterday, one of the students reached out to me last night and asked a very honest question. And the question was, how do you stay confident and relaxed when speaking in public? And how do you maintain your flow without rushing or speaking too fast? And I really appreciated that question. And because behind that question is something actually deeper, if you're going to really go into a deeper overthinking about the question, it's not just about presenting. It's about fear. So many people are afraid of speaking in front of an audience, not because they don't have something valuable to say, but because they're afraid of making mistakes and afraid of being judged, afraid of sounding not perfect. I mean, and that fear, it actually stops people from speaking up, from sharing ideas, and from showing up. That's why this matters. So today I'm going to answer that question directly, not just with mindset, but with exactly what I do. Um, so after that presentation yesterday, I went back and watched the recording because I recorded myself. And I noticed mistakes, of course. We're not perfect. And there were missing words, mispronunciations, moments where I thought, oh, I could have said that, better. And my first reaction, after watching the video, I'm like, I felt really discomfort. But then that familiar feeling of watching, yourself and focusing on every imperfection, I kind of, you know, ask myself, I'm like, did the audience feel that? Or did the message get lost? And because of that question last night, it really gives me the the confidence, like, you know what, they got the message. That's why they uh ask me a follow-up questions, even though it's unrelated to what I presented, the topic that I presented yesterday. And I would say no, they're not lost. And the audience yesterday, the participants, they got my message. So the feedback was positive and the message got through. And that reminded me of something important. We are, of course, often our own worst critic. Our mistakes are louder in our own head than they are in the room. And even high level professionals experience this. And this doesn't just happen to, like students or new speakers. And I watched a video recently that was shared throughout X basically this week. I think some of you saw it, where there was a moment where an astronaut, someone trained to operate under extreme pressure, was on stage speaking publicly, and suddenly she paused, like, I don't know how many minutes, but she went quiet, and then for a moment she blanked out. Now, think about that. This is someone who can handle complex systems, operate in space, and make critical decisions under pressure. And yet, in a speaking moment, she paused. Because, speaking in front of people is a different kind of pressure. Um, I know a lot of people, I'm not I just like to speak because I feel comfortable and I want to learn. And I'm sure that those, experts on speaking can relate to this. So, but what matters is what happened next. So the astronaut, she paused, took a breath, and then continued. She didn't panic, she didn't break down. It's just recovery. And that's the lesson. So, even at the highest level, people make mistakes. The difference is they don't stop. To answer the first question of how I actually prepare, when I prepare for a presentation, I don't focus on being perfect. I focus on being clear. I define my message. That's number one. I ask myself, what is the one thing I want people to remember? Because if your message is clear, mistakes don't control you. And the second, I don't memorize, but I understand. I try to understand. I'm bad in memorizing, but if you understand, it will be easier for you. So I don't memorize every word. I break my presentation into key points, because if you memorize and forget one line, you freeze. And I encountered this many times and learned from it. So, but if you understand your message, you can always continue. It's like it just comes naturally. And the third is I practice out loud. So I speak it loud with a microphone. No, I'm kidding. No microphone. I also practice out loud just in my head, because speaking and thinking are two different things, and both have to be aligned, right? So this helps me build my rhythm, find my natural pace, and get comfortable with my voice. And number four, to me, this is very important. I prepare for imperfection. Before I present, I already accept the fact that I might make mistakes, and that's okay. That removes pressure before I even start. So, right before I go on, I think of a very happy and fun travel moments, giving me a happy energy. And that's what I usually do when before I will start my presentation. I don't try to memorize anything. Instead, I pause, I take a deep breath, I smile, and I remind myself I'm not here to be perfect, but I'm here to deliver value. that mindset actually changes everything for me. So the second question, how I stayed relaxed and confident while speaking. Now, confidence is not something that suddenly appears. It's something you manage in the moment. So, number one, for me, I slow myself down on purpose. So, when nerves hit, your brain speeds up. And that's always my problem. So, I intentionally slow down. I use pauses, and, and after an important point, I pause. And here's the truth, pausing is not a weakness. If you think about it, it's control. It's control. Pausing is not a weakness, it's control. So, second, I focus on the audience, not myself. When you focus on yourself, you get nervous. And I've done this so many times. And when you focus on helping the audience, you relax. So I shift my thinking to not, am I doing this right? But are they understanding me? And that's very important for me. And third, I accept mistakes in real time. If I miss a word or forget something, I don't panic. If I pause and continue, because the audience doesn't know what I plan to say. Only I do, because I have that control. And it's not easy to speak, especially you're being recorded because you're speaking being recorded in real time. So now here's the thing. Why mistakes happen and why they're normal. It's normal. When you're presenting, your brain is doing a lot. You thinking, speaking, observing, and managing your nerves. So that is one of the most cognitively demanding things you can do. So mistakes are not failure. They're part of the process. So the audience is not watching you the way you think. Your audience is not tracking your mistakes. In fact, they're following your message and they respond to clarity, confidence, authenticity, and relatability, not for perfection. And I always say, confidence is not the absence of mistakes. Confident speakers don't avoid mistakes, they've accepted them and they keep going anyway. I have seen a few people and I really kind of admire because there's really few individuals are so gifted when presenting, when they talk. It's just like mesmerizing. And but because perfection does not build connection. I will repeat, because perfection does not build connection and authenticity does. Now, I will put myself as an example. English is not my first language, and you can hear it in my tone and in my accent. Even our First Lady, Melania Trump, is a great example, and she even reads a script. So here's a word to non native speakers. If you're speaking in a second language, that takes courage. That's not a weakness at all. That's strength, that's capability. And you have to own it and be proud of it. I'm very proud of myself doing this presentation, recording myself. And I've trained myself over and over. And then also I have a mentor that I looked up to while I was still working, and she encouraged me because I did a presentation and I wasn't really kind of, I was kind of hesitant, but then she pushed me, She said, Maribel, you need to do it. And you keep practicing, which I did. And then most of the time, I got very comfortable. And, you know, to me, the answer is simple. You prepare with intention, but you present with acceptance. Because you know and understand that it will not be perfect. And you don't need to be having a goal of perfection, because the goal, focus on this, the goal is connection, not perfection. The goal is connection. So you will make mistakes. You might speak fast at times. You might forget something. It's okay. That's normal. Your audience does not need you to be perfect. They need you to be real, clear, relatable, and present. So take a deep breath, slow down, trust yourself, and speak anyway. And don't forget to smile and glow when you present, because that makes a big difference. So that's all my, I think it's 15 minutes presentation, the live session, and this is going to be recorded and saved in our website for resources. So thank you for listening, and feel free to share our video. Bye.